Hi. Hi. I had a request to do a long draw video. And what I'm going to show you, for some it may be typical long draw, for others it may not. What I'm working with here is a washed alpaca fleece from my alpaca carter. And it's a fairly short fleece. It was his baby fleece, and it just happened to be that time of year where he'd need to be shorn, and he wasn't that old. So next year's fleece will be longer. Hopefully it's fine. We'll see. I use all my fleeces. If they're really fine, I use them for next to skin stuff. If they're so-so, I'll use them for bags and slippers and things like, well, none of my fleeces are coarse, or, well, I lie. Okay, and bowls and, you know, whatever, that kind of thing. And then if there's anything super coarse, and usually that's from an animal that I rescued and didn't have the heart to not use his fleece. I have an alpaca that'll be dying soon. I'm gonna have to go out and I'm gonna go lay with him or sit with him and shear him and get his fleece. And it's fairly coarse. He's an old boy, but he is like my sweetest, most calmest, tamest alpaca. He lived in the house for a while when he was sick. For anybody that thinks that's disgusting, alpacas pick, he was young. Alpacas pick one place to poo generally, or some do anyways, and they know where to poo. So I could put a plastic tarp down. Okay, this is going to be really disturbing to a lot of people, but deal with it. I could put a plastic tarp down and put a couple of his pre-existing beans, people call them, pellets, whatever. Not edible pellets or beans, but poo-poo beans. And they'll go in that spot. The thing is, he was doing that in the garage with the tarp. When he was in the house, well, he was for a while when he was really sick. But anyways, he wasn't going too much or doing anything, so I have a nice home. It's just my animals' well-being takes precedent. My husband's out of town. Anyways, so what I'm doing here, so I have a washed fleece. This is Carter. Gordon's the one that's going to become a rug because he is just fairly coarse fleece. I'm going to show you different ways of spin him, but one of the things is that people ask me to do long draw, so I'll show that. But because it's a fairly short fleece, and I'm not preparing his fleece with a carter or combs or anything that, you know, I just like it looking like my critter and going straight from there. And I like the yarn I get. And I don't know if they had compacted locks, you couldn't do that very well anyways. But my animals don't have compacted locks. I don't have, with my BFL, I like to use that tail spinning, so I don't card that either. Okay. Okay, so here you go. I'm going to show you. I'm just taking a handful of the wash fleece, and I'll show you initially. I always start off doing the whole, it's not really the inchworm thing because it's a short fleece. I like to get the feel of it first, and I'm letting it pull in. And after I get the feel about how long the fleece is, how much pull I have on the tension, I'll start then going back out. I'm going slow here so people can see. I'll just start going back out and then I'll let it in. And I'll go out. Now this cannot be a fast long draw because it's a shorter staple. But technically I don't need my right hand. To me, it's my security blanket. I've had too many bobbins that I lost the end on because I was long drawing, got carried away, going too fast, or maybe I hit a short piece of wool and it ripped down my hand and wound on, and then voila, I can't find the end and have to chop it up and do. There's certain tricks you can do, but bottom line is they don't all work. So I'm going to sit there. So I'm not doing anything with my right hand except for feeling it as I go in. Let me see if I go closer at an angle for my wheel. Okay, is that clear? Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm just feeling it. And that way I can feel, well, right now I'm dry now because I'm trying to keep it in front of the camera. I'm just letting it run between my fingers, my right hand, my forward fingers. I won't say right or left because that might be confusing. My forward fingers, I'm just letting it run between as if it's one more hook on the bobbin. I'm not doing anything with it, but in case I feel like it got carried away too fast, it's my little security blanket that I can have and maybe catch it before it gets lost on the bobbin. I've got a nice full bobbin here of alpaca. Yeah, I might make something for Carter out of Carter. We'll see. It depends on if it looks like a real feminine yarn once it's done. Some animals halo more than others because this is a Korea fleece. And this is not a true worsted because I'm not preparing the fiber. It's coming out pretty darn worsted, meaning the fibers are aligned, but still, because it's a long draw, it's being trapped into the fiber source in my hand, and meaning that it can catch things unparalleled. So, yeah, so it's not true worsted, but if you saw, now I can feel I'm coming to some really short spots because it's acting a little bit funny. So let's see. Oh, look at, yeah, that's really short. That's like 2 inches long. But he was a baby, so this might, when they're a baby, everything's so fine, so you kind of don't chuck any of it when you're shearing. And I shear them with scissors when they're babies. I'm not going to lay them down or do anything like that because I don't want them to hate me from the beginning of their life. So, yeah, when you're handling that baby, every single hair seems precious. And then when you wash it, you toss a little bit because maybe it's got, the base of the neck. Maybe mom was eating over it or something, or maybe it had a little bit of loose stool at one point in its life. So its tail end, or the back of its legs might have some, well, I don't ever say poo, but if I go to wash it right away, when I shear a fleece, I don't automatically think, oh, that's garbage, that's garbage, that's garbage, unless I have a million of that color of animal and I don't have to be picky. But if it's an animal's first fleece, I won't chuck things as I'm shearing unless it's an absolute piece of poo, because I might be able to trim off the discolored part or the crusty part or whatever, and then have still more of that baby fine fleece. A lot of things, here's a big wad, so I'll be able to, be a little more haphazard with my long draw because I know it's holding on to itself pretty well in the mass in my hands. I like when I wash something, depending on how I plan on spinning it, I like to wash things just the tiniest bit aggressively. I got to move my fiber because it's building up on the hook and it's not pulling in as steadily as I'd like. There we go. I like to I think the word agitate's funny because that's something I think, oh, annoying people agitate me. Anyways, but I like to stir it around just a little bit. I do that with my rabbit fiber. I'll mist it and then handle it a little bit because I want it to just not felt. Definitely don't want felting because that's undoable. But I want it to full it a little bit or cut a little bit so that it grips onto itself and I could just spin from this. There's my flicking method. See, you just take your finger and flick that piece out. I just like when it hangs onto its, oh, why is that not wanting to feed in? Some of my bobbin's getting too full. Darn it. Well, I shouldn't say darn it. That's a good thing to have a full bobbin. Okay. I like it to grip onto itself a little bit so I can work from this mass and it not fall apart. If it were Angora fiber, not mohair, but Angora for my bunnies, I have a lot of that. My next bobbin's going to be here on this wheel is going to be bunny. If I have a lot of, I got to tighten up. You can see that this not fitting in as readily, and that's just because my bobbin's very full. So I'm tightening up my. This is going to be probably Navajo plied because I just want one skein from this little guy to be solid Carter. Anyways, sometimes you ever do that? You feel a bobbin and then get a little anxious to get onto some other fiber and then you forget what was on that bobbin. I do that a lot, so I have a tendency to like to Navajo ply things. Anyways, so I like it to grip onto itself so I can hold this mass in my hand and just spin from it. If it was felted too much, or not felted, but cotted too much, I couldn't do that because well, I could do that actually, but it would become a very novelty yarn. I think I have a video on that. I like those yarns. It's the only way out. I end up doing novelty yarn because I like the process of spinning an even yarn. It's soothing to me. Anyways, I like it to be just a little bit cotted so it grips onto itself, and it's just like I have this, I don't know, piece of roving, kind of. Not a piece of roving. I just have a fiber source that, because it's cotted a little bit, it forms a little tension on itself when I draft the fiber out. And so that tension causes the individual strands to line up. Let me see if I can get a close up. See, here's this wad. I'm trying to think, is there something dark? Am I dark? Am I dark? I'm actually a very pale person. I'm trying to think, oh, I should have a dark shirt on when I do. Let's see if I can do it with my leg. How tacky is that? Okay, see where I'm spinning, where I'm drafting? These fibers are actually lining up. This looks like a mess, but they actually are lining up. The only time fiber doesn't line up like that is when you wash it in a manner that you don't keep the lock structure, or if it doesn't have locks, just this structure, the original structure of the fleece. If I were to stir it around or tease it or pick it or whatever, or fuss with it a lot in the skirting process prior to washing it, then it wouldn't stay in its natural form and it wouldn't draft in a nice smooth manner like this, because it would already be having fibers going every which way. But this is like it is off the animal. This is off the baby. I washed this in a net bag, and I'm getting together net bags of different fibers, unwashed and washed, so that people can see. I'm trying to hold this up. Anyways, here you go. When you long draw, I'll finish up because my time's running out. I don't know how to videotape longer than 15 minutes. If anybody wants to tell me how to do that on YouTube, you probably wouldn't want to, because then you wouldn't want to watch it. But unless you like just spinning with a buddy and watching other people do things, then okay. Now I'm going back to this long draw very slow because I feel I've come to a short spot again. I just let the twist build up and grab and grab and grab and grab and grab, 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 grab as it goes into my fiber source. And then when my shoulder is hurting from being too far out, rotator cuff stuff, I'm an old lady, I let it go in. And the letting it go in quickly means it's not going to continue to build up twist. This gives me a really, really nice even twist, because it's able to travel and not build up in one spot as it would if I were staying too